This is section 3.01 from Unit 3 Notes, Intro, Connections Between Data. Today I am, as in you are the student, reviewing the coordinate plane, slope, and writing equations so that I can interpret the slope of a line and write an equation in point-slope form. I will know I have it when I can identify points on the coordinate plane, determine the slope of a line, and write an equation in point-slope form. The specific TEKS we're targeting for today's lesson is 9A, 2B, and 2I for math models. These first handful of problems are U-tries, so what I would like for y'all to do in a little bit is for each of these U-tries that I'm fixing to go over, pause the video and try them on your own. This first U-try is labeling the parts of the coordinate plane. So we're just going to go into the vocabulary and the identification of the parts on a coordinate plane, aka graph, as you see right here. If you are on ClassKick, then simply click on each word and then drag them to the appropriate spot. Then once you're done, check yourself by moving this box and seeing if you label them correctly. So I'm going to go over this one. Otherwise, keep listening, keep watching, and I will go through how to do this. So starting with the origin. The origin is the center of the graph, usually as the point 0, 0. Right here, this cross section of these two axes. So number 3 is the point of origin. For the x-axis, that is usually the left and right axis. We have two of them. This one right here, this horizontal axis, and then the vertical axis, the y-axis, is going up and down. Okay, so the one that is going horizontal is what we call the x-axis, which is number 2. And then, like we said, number 1 is the y-axis. Then the quadrants. We usually start in the positive quadrants. Notice the number lines have both positive and negative numbers. Each quadrant is a combination of that positive and negative, those positive and negative numbers. So in this first quadrant, quadrant 1, we have positive numbers. Quadrant 2, which is directly left of quadrant 1, has negative positive numbers. And notice what I'm saying first. I'm saying the x numbers and then the y numbers. So we have x negative numbers and then we have y positive numbers. That is quadrant 2. Quadrant 3 is directly below it, going into the negative territory. And then quadrant 4 is the positive negative territory right here. And that's it for U-try number 1, labeling the parts of a coordinate plane. Okay, more vocabulary, U-try number 2. I have 4 different parts of this that I want you to type up and answer. So again, pause the video, read through the problems, and just see which ones which ones are the correct ones. They are either the blue word or the green word. So type up whichever one you think is the correct one. Again, pause the video, try this on your own. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and answer these for you. The y coordinate indicates which position of the point on the coordinate plane, the horizontal or vertical. So the y coordinates are on the y-axis, which is the vertical, the one that goes up, down, or down, up. So the y coordinate is the vertical. The point at which the two axes intersect is called the origin or the quadrant. Well, just like we said in the previous warm-up, the origin is the center point of the coordinate plane, which is where they cross, where the two axes cross, the x-axis and the y-axis. So the origin is the answer for that one. The origin is at the point what on the x-axis and on the y-axis? 0, 0 or 0, 1. Okay, well, the origin is at the very center, which is the number 0. Both x and y are neither going up or down. They're just right there at the center. So the answer would be 0, 0. 0, 1 would mean that it goes to the right. I'm sorry. It would stay at 0 on the x-axis, so it would move neither left or right, but then it would go up 1. That's 0, 1. We don't want that. That's not the origin, so the only one that makes sense is 0, 0. The x-coordinate indicates which position of a point on the coordinate plane, the horizontal or the vertical. So we already said that the y-axis was the vertical, which means that the x-axis is the horizontal, the one that goes left and right. A good way to think about horizontal versus vertical. Horizontal, think of the horizon. When you watch the sun appear from the horizon is a flat surface, and then you see the circle of the sun rising from the horizon. So horizon is horizontal, left, right. And that's it for you try number 2. You try number 3. Some practice, excuse the scratchiness of the voice there. Some practice on identifying points on a graph. So I have a picture of a dog, and around this picture of the dog is letter points that you have to identify on the coordinate plane. So the first thing you identify is the x value of that point, and then the y value. Then you can check your answers by moving this box right here to see if you've been doing everything correctly. And yeah, so again, try this on your own by pausing the video and going through every single letter and identifying what points they are. Otherwise, I'm going to continue on and show y'all how to do this. So, starting with letter A, I need to identify the x. A is right here. The x value, I have to travel 1, 2 to the left, or I'm sorry, to the right, so it's positive 2. And then I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 5 is the answer for letter A. Letter B. I would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get in line with letter B. So I have to go to the right 4. And then I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, 4 is letter B. I'm going to do one from over here on the second quadrant, letter H. I have to travel to the left 1, 2, 3. So for H, it's negative 3. And then I have to travel up 1, 2, positive for the Y. So it's negative 3, 2. Okay, doing one for letter F. I have to go to the left 1, so I have to do go to the left in the negative side 1. So for F, that's negative 1. And then I have to go down 1, 2, 3. So the point for F is negative 1, negative 3. And then my final demonstration, or final letter, will be D. So for D, I have to travel 1, 2, 3 to the right. And then I have to travel down 1. So down means negative. This is 3, negative 1 for my coordinate on letter D. And then I'm just going to show you the rest because each one is pretty much the same way that I've done it. You just have to remember which ones are positives, which ones are negatives on the particular quadrant that you're finding these points on. Typically, just to give y'all a way to remember this. So let me erase all these marks. This first quadrant, quadrant 1, is usually positive, positive. Quadrant 2 is negative, positive. Quadrant 3 is negative, negative. And then quadrant 4 is positive, negative. Meaning those are the signs of the coordinate points that you should be dealing with when dealing with those respective quadrants. Okay, so that's it for you try number 3. Okay, slope. The slope of a line passing through the points x1, y1 and x2, y2 is the ratio of the difference in the y coordinates to the corresponding difference in the x coordinates. So what does this mean? x1, y1, x2, y2, those are basically telling you the first point, x1, y1, and the second point, x2, y2, on a graph. To find their slopes, if you have 2 points, you can take the differences of the y's and the differences of the x's, and you will find your slope. So the types of slopes that we're going to be seeing are negative slopes, where you see the line's overall general direction going downward. No slope, where the line is flat, going from left to right, horizontal. Positive, where the line, when you're reading it from left to right, is going up. And then undefined, if the line is just straight vertical, up and down, we can't tell whether it's going in the positive direction or negative direction. It's going both positive and negative at the same time. And so, since we can't tell what's going on, it is an undefined slope. So, finding 2 slopes, there's 2 ways. Either we use the slope formula, or we use a trick, or not a trick, a shortcut with rise over run. So, I'm going to show you all the example first on the formula. How do we use the formula to find slope? So in this example, a line is drawn so that it passes through the points -2, 7 and 4, -2. What is the slope of a line? If this is all the information we're given, what is the slope? Well, since we have 2 points, we're going to use the formula. And that formula is, for slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, it doesn't really matter which one's x1, y1 or x2, y2. Typically, the first point you see, that's what we'll label as x1, y1. The second point you see is what we'll label as x2, y2. Okay? So, now that we know what is what, this is x1, this is x2. We're going to take those two and subtract them from each other. 4 minus 2. Or, I'm sorry, 4 minus -2. And then for the y values, this is y2, and this is y1. So we're going to subtract those at the top of the fraction bar. -4 minus 7. Okay, and here's how we'll plug it into the calculator. 4 minus -2, which double negative should make it a positive, so really that's positive 6. Positive 6. So we have 6 in the denominator. For the numerator, we have -4 minus 7. And notice how I'm using a different button for negative on the TI-84. For Desmos, I don't believe it's that different. You can use the minus symbols for both negative and minus. But for the TI-84, those buttons are distinct. One of them means negative, the other means subtraction. So be aware of what each one is. So -4 minus 7 will give me a total of -11. And then here is my slope. If it could reduce, we will try and reduce it by, on the TI-84, doing the following. Pressing Math, Enter, Enter. Oh, I'm sorry. First type up the fraction, so -11 divided by 6. And then Math, Enter, Enter. And we see that it's already in its reduced form, so we don't have to do anything. If you want to do this using Desmos, move my camera there. I'm going to type in negative 11 divided by 6. And then I'm going to click on this fraction symbol right here on the left to highlight it and turn it into a fraction. And again, I notice it's in its lowest reduced form. So my final answer is negative 11 over 6 or negative 11 over 6. Doesn't really matter where the negative is as long as it's on one of those numbers. And here is me showing y'all the work that I have on the slide. So that's it for this example. There's your answer, negative 11 over 6. Okay, now it's your turn. You try number 4. A line is drawn so that it passes through the points 4, 5 and 8, 6. What is the slope of the line? First step is to identify which one is x1 and y1, and then which one is x2, y2. Again, typically it doesn't matter, but usually the first point in the problem is what your x1 and y1 are, and then your second one is x2, y2. Then use the 2 points of the formula to find the slope of the line. Fill them into this formula. Get your answer, and then check the box behind it to see if you did everything correctly. Pause the video now and try this on your own. Otherwise, I'm going to continue on and show y'all how to do this. Step 1, identify x1, y1, x2, y2. So, first point, x1 is 4. Second point, x2 is 8. Okay, first point, y1 is 5. Second point, y1 is 6. And now we take these and put them in a fraction and simplify. Starting with the y's, y2 minus y1 means 6 minus 5. Divided by x2 minus x1, which means 8 minus 4. Final answer, 6 minus 5 is 1. 8 minus 4 is 4. The slope is 1 over 4 as a fraction. And then move the box, see if you did everything correctly, and there we go. Okay, even if we did this in reverse order, so let me show y'all. 5 minus 6. Let's say I got x1 and y1 mixed up. 5 minus 6 divided by 8 minus 4. Make sure that 5 and 8... Oh, I'm sorry, not 8 minus 4. 4 minus 8. Notice how 6 and 8 are still associated with each other, x2, y2. And notice how 5 and 4 are still associated with each other, x1, y1. Even if I were to flip these, let me show you all the math. 5 minus 6, negative 1. 4 minus 8, negative 4. Now, I'm going to take those numbers, negative 1 divided by negative 4, and then press math, enter, enter. It turns out a positive 1 over 4, okay? Which is still my answer right here, okay? And it makes sense because two negatives, a negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. So it turns out the correct positive reduced fraction because of that. Anyways, that's it for you try number 4. In this example, we have a graph. So if we're given a graph and the 2 points on a graph, it's easier to do rise over run. Let me give you all this example right here. And what do I mean by rise over run? I mean that for the rise, you're going to count the y values, and for the run, you're going to count the x values from one point to the other. So you need a starting position. Here is point number 1 on the left. So my rise over run, rise first, and then divide that by your run. I'm going to count how much I have to go up on level with this point right here. So I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My rise is 8. And then I have to figure out how much I have to run left to right to get to this point right here. And I have to do the following. Start from this point on the run and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my run is 7, which means the fraction rise over run is 8 divided by 7. Now let's say you wanted to do this backwards instead. Let's say you start right here and then you have to figure out the rise over run. Well, from here, from this point, I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's negative 8. I have to go down. And then I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 7, I have to run to the left. Running left means negative. Running right means positive. Rising down means negative. Rising up means positive. Now, again, double negatives, they make a positive. And just to show you proof, negative 8 divided by negative 7. Math, enter, enter, gives me a positive 8 over 7 for my run. I'm sorry, for my slope. So again, 8 over 7 is my slope, the final answer. That's it for this example. You try number 5. What is the slope of this line? Now, the hint that I'm going to give y'all is you got to pick 2 pretty points and count rise over run. Now, pretty points, what I mean by pretty points are points that clearly go through a corner. So, the following is what I would consider, quote-unquote, pretty points. They go through a corner. That way you can identify the whole numbers that they go through. Okay? So, any one of those will work. Any 2 of those, any combination of those 2 will work. So, pick your points and then find the rise over run and then get your final answer. Go ahead, pause this video, try this on your own. Otherwise, I'm going to continue on and show y'all how to do this. So I'm going to pick 2 points to find the slope of the line. I'm going to choose what's easiest. I see this first one right here. And I see another pretty point right there. Now I'm going to count the rise over run. So from this first point to the next, I have to rise 1, 2. So I have to go down negative 2. And then I have to run to the right positive 1. And so my final answer is negative 2 over 1, which when you divide those 2 using the calculator is negative 2. I'm going to show you all a few other ways. So let's say I pick 2 other different points. I find one right here on the y-axis, and then I find another one right here. Okay, so from one point to the next, I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to go down negative 4. And then I have to go to the right 1, 2, positive 2. Now let's do the math. Negative 4 is my rise, and I'm going to divide that by 2 for the run. Negative 4 divided by 2 is still negative 2. So answer is the exact same, no matter what 2 points you decide to pick. No matter what 2 pretty points you decide to pick. And then just to show you what's behind the box, there it is. Okay, and that's it for you try number 5. Point slope form. So there are different forms of stating your information. In the case of slope, y-intercept, y-axis, x-axis, all that other stuff, x-intercepts, point slope form is the form where you have one of the points and its slope. One of the points is visible in y1 and x1, and then the slope is visible. Now, there are other forms like standard form, like slope-intercept form, where they simplify the problem into a different look, and they each have their own uses. This point-slope form has the use of easily identifying the slope and one of the points on the line for that. To write an equation in point-slope form, plug in the value for the slope, the x-coordinate, and the y-coordinate, simplify any signs, and then you are done. So let's look at an example. Write the equation of the line in point-slope form that has a slope of 2 and passes through the points 8, 1. So we know to use point-slope form because the board problem clearly states it, point-slope, which means we're going to pull this out and use it to solve our problem. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1 close parentheses. The slope is 2, so m gets replaced with 2. The point is 8, 1, which means 8 is x1, and then 1 is y1. So we have y1, x1. Plug them into the formula. If there are any double negatives, we would turn those signs into a positive. But I don't see any. We don't have to simplify any further. This problem just wants the point-slope formula, so we are done. Okay, you try number 6. Write the equation of the line in point-slope form that has the slope of -5 and passes through the point 1, -2. Okay, so here's the point-slope formula. Here's the first thing, or the first thing you have to put to the first part of the formula that you have to initially put before simplifying. Sorry about that. So you're going to put your numbers in, and then you're going to simplify any double negatives that you see. After that's done, you get your final answer. So do that. Check yourselves using the box behind this to see if you did everything right. Otherwise, if you're not going to try this on your own, I'm going to continue on and show y'all how to do this. So write the equation of the line in point-slope form that has the slope of -5, so this is clearly the m value, and passes through the point 1 and -2, which for my point is y1, not y2. Filling out the formula, I have y1, which is -2, m, which is -5, and then x1, which is 1. Now, to simplify, if I look on the right side of the equal sign, -5 does not have a double negative, so that just gets brought down. 1 does not have a double negative, so that just gets brought down. However, y1 does have a double negative. Because two negatives make a positive in multiplication and or division, this final sign should be positive, and then you drop the negative on the 2. So this is y plus 2 equals -5 parentheses x minus 1 close parentheses. And then again, you can move the box behind to check it out, and there's your answer. That's it for you try number 6. Okay, I do have a challenge problem if y'all want to try. So write the equation of the line in point-slope form. Use the pen tool to show your work. So I've given y'all a graph. There are 2 points on there. There are other points that you can use, but I've clearly put 2 points in there that you can immediately use. From there, I want y'all to construct the point-slope form of the equation. Okay, that's all I'm going to say because this is a challenge problem. Try that out on your own. If you want to check to see if you're going in the right direction, then you can move these boxes to check yourself. Okay, you're going to be using the pen tool on ClassKick to show your work for this. All right, try this on your own if you want. Otherwise, I will now show you how to do this problem. So for the point slope formula, we need a point and we need the slope. Well, one of the points that I can use, I see clearly right here, is 1 to -3, comma 1. -3 because from the origin it goes 1, 2, 3, and then from there it goes up 1. It goes 3 to the left and then up 1. So -3, comma 1. Now, to get my rise over run, my slope, I have my point first off. So -3, comma 1. This is x1 and y1. To get my slope, I have to look for another point. I don't care what it is, as long as it's a nice, clean, quote-unquote, pretty point. And I see one all the way over here. Now, y'all can use this one if you want, but I'm going to use the one that is clearly shown. So, now I have to do the following. I have to count from the first point and see how much I have to travel to the second point. So starting with the first, my rise, I have to go up 1, 2 to get on the same level as that point. So I have to go up 2, and then I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 to the right. So my rise is 2. And my run is 6. So my slope is equal to 2 over 6, which really, if you plug it into your calculator, will reduce to 1 over 3. Now, I'm going to replace the m, the y1, and x1. And I'm going to get the following. Y minus y1, which is 1, which is equal to m, the slope, 1 over 3, parentheses x minus x1, which is -3. And then the last thing I have to do is simplify. Okay, simplify any double negatives in this equation. The y1 does not have a double negative, slopes nope, but I do see a double negative with the x's. So turn those into positive. Your final answer should be y minus 1 equals 1 over 3, parentheses x plus 3. And that is the point slope of this graph. Okay, so I'm going to check the box to reveal how to do this. Let me see. It should be this one right here. Yep. Y minus, well, this is 1 point. So y minus 3, they chose to use this other point over here. 3, comma 3. 3, comma 3. And notice how they're both positive, so that negative just stays, doesn't change. The slope is the same thing. I just chose to use a different number. Now, I could show you all the math for right now. Y'all are just going to have to trust me. If I do the math to simplify it, it'll still be the exact same equation. So trust me, we just don't need to learn that right now. But y minus 3 equals 1/3 parentheses x minus 3 is the exact same equation as y minus 1 equals 1/3 parentheses x plus 3. Y'all really are itching to know, just email me. Let me know that you want me to show y'all the challenge problem. But that's pretty much it. There are multiple ways of this answer. That's it for 3.01 notes. If y'all need anything, let me know. You have my email and phone number right there. Text or call me, usually during work hours. Otherwise, after work hours, I'm not always going to answer, but if I do see that it's important and you really need help, I will try to do my best to answer after hours. Okay. Otherwise, just let me know if y'all need anything in general, and I will see y'all next time. Take it easy, everybody.